All right, ready to record. Got my PDF of the character sheet, got my dice, got my little world, just about ready. You know what? Let's go ahead and check out that video that we uploaded the other day. See how this is doing, huh? 7 views. My wife subscribed. Wait. What? We are way ahead of schedule. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm John, this is BrOSE Books. Today we're going to be rolling up characters for our BrOSE solo campaign. Initially I thought that we were going to be talking about faction leaders and patron play, since that's the part of the BrOSR style of game that I am least familiar with and most curious about. Admittedly, I'm really excited to play that part of the game, but I did get a comment from Scottifer Mike, and I gotta admit, fanboyed a little bit. And he said that he can't wait to see what characters we roll up, and I gotta agree with him. I am super excited to roll up our characters and see who we get. That being said, I'm not gonna roll them up, the way that you might expect them, one at a time, talking the whole way through. Admittedly, I've tried to do it twice, and each time I try to edit the video, I bore myself to death. I start falling asleep. I have to record after my son's bedtime, and it's at the end of the day. It's always been a long day, and the tank's just running a little low at the end of the day. So instead of rolling everyone individually and talking the whole way through, what I'm going to do is I am going to roll up 6 characters. We'll start off with 6, and depending on how fast that goes, we might go up to that 12 mark. In Old School Essentials, and particularly in the BrOSR style of play, you want a lot of characters. You want to have a stable of characters. If we were playing with a group of buddies, I would encourage each and every single one of them to have at least 3 to 4 characters. That way they can do downtime activities. They can reinforce each other when characters start going down. Just roll up another character and keep on trucking. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to go ahead and fill out a nice stable of characters as if we were playing with 3 to 4 buddies. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We're just going to roll 3d6 down the line. And we are going to see what classes they qualify for or what they should be at the end. All right. In the meantime, I am going to speed it up, and I'm not going to be talking about it. We can talk about each individual character after I've done their attributes, their ability scores. there you have it. You know, honestly, that was really fast, so I did go ahead and I rolled up all 12 characters. As you can see, we've got a pretty good mix of, pretty average guys with not a whole lot going for them. And then we got a couple dudes that have some really baller stats. And then character 12 just dropped off the face of the earth. A 3 and a 4 in strength and dexterity. Big woof. Big woof. That's alright. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work. Hey, anybody can be a hero. Anybody. Alright, well, let's go ahead and start figuring out what kind of classes we want to play with these guys. So for this first guy, I'm thinking that we could probably pull a thief. That's what I'm thinking for this guy. Because what we can do is we can do our ability score adjustments. So we can go ahead and drop our intelligence down to 9 because we don't really need 13 intelligence. And we can pop this up to a 16. And in fact, what we could do is not only could we do that, but we could probably pop this dex and this wisdom down to 9 as well. It'll lower our saving throws against magic, but that will give us an 18 in dexterity, which is pretty nice. And with that 8 constitution, he doesn't want to get hit. He wants that +3 bonus to his armor class. So I think that's what we're going to do. That's going to be our finalization for character 1. Character 2, now this is an interesting one. I think we could go either fighter or barbarian. I don't think that we have the stats for a paladin. Let me double check. Let's see here. Paladin. Minimum charisma of 9. So we do not have the scores for a paladin. That said, no, we also don't have the minimum scores for a knight because a knight needs a 9 constitution and a 9 dexterity. So we've only got an 8 in dexterity, so we can't do that. Let's see here. Or we could also do a dwarf. That would be fun. And with that 12 intelligence, he wouldn't make a bad elf. Yep, we can't be a barbarian. Minimum dexterity of 9. So we're limited to dwarf, I think. Yeah, with constitution of 13, we meet the requirements for that. And yeah, we could be an elf, or we could be a fighter. Let's go ahead and roll a d3 for it. Dwarf, elf, fighter. We're going fighter. All right, too easy. So we don't need our 12 intelligence. We can bump that down to a 10. And then we can bump that up to a 15. It's not going to get us too far. It's not going to drastically change the scores like our first character did. But it's going to get us closer to that magic 16. And like I said, we don't need that 10 intelligence, and we don't need that 12 intelligence. So we can bump that up, get ourselves a little bit closer. That guy's going to be a fighter. All right, character 3 got decent intelligence, got decent dexterity, and the worst wisdom I think I've ever seen. All right, so I know that bards aren't exactly like the best dungeon crawlers, but I mean with a good dexterity and a good charisma and a decent intelligence, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have him be a bard. Why not? I don't want to like double up too hard on any classes. So even though this guy would make a good thief, I'd rather he's a bard. That's what I'd rather. Now this guy, character 4. Well, hold on. Let's see here. Prime requisite. We'll go. Yeah, we'll go ahead and change character 3's strength to 9, and bump the prime requisite of charisma up to 14. It's like character 2. It's not going to change anything for us, but it'll be all right. Now, character 4 is 100% a magic user. And because his strength and wisdom scores are so low, there's no adjustment we can do. Because unless your prime requisite is dexterity, constitution, or charisma, those can't be adjusted up, and they can never be adjusted down. So it is what it is. Now, character 5. He's pretty much just your stock standard dude, except for his charisma. He does have a pretty decent charisma. And while I think we have met the requirements for just about every class, because he's just average Joe, I think that he'd make a good halfling. Because in my mind, people like paladins, knights, and stuff, they should be pretty exceptional people. Halflings, I don't think they need to be exceptional, you know? Frodo wasn't exceptional in pretty much any way, shape, or form, except for the fact that he was willing to do what it took. And that's what made him a hero. So, halfling it is for character 5. Character 6, we've got average strength, above average intelligence, decent wisdom, terrible dexterity. Let's see here. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to kind of ignore the fact that he's got a 13 intelligence. And what we're going to do is we're going to make him a druid. So let's go ahead and bump this intelligence down to 9. And that'll bump our wisdom up to 14. But, since this guy can wear leather armor, can use wooden shields, we might be able to offset this 6 dexterity just a little bit. For character 7, this guy, if it weren't for that 5 dexterity, he'd really be something. Because you don't need the intelligence, you don't need the wisdom. Pretty much everyone needs dexterity, dude. That being said, 16 strength, 18 constitution, even with his 15 charisma, this guy's a dwarf. Bada bing, bada boom. Alright, character 8. Because we got nothing that we can change here. Character 8. Still got that terrible dexterity, and look how awful that charisma is. Charisma of 4. You know what? I'm gonna make this guy an elf, and we'll just play him as that like real asshole kind of elf. Yeah. I'm trying to make this a PG channel, but we might have to settle for PG-13. If you can't tell by my shirt, this is a MWR shirt. I'm in the military. And so some profanity might make its way through, and I do apologize about that in advance. It's something I'm working on, but we'll just keep rocking and rolling. This guy's pretty sweet. This guy is a little exceptional, and he's got the charisma to make a decent paladin. It almost has enough to get the. Oh man, he's so close to getting the full 10%. And he would make a pretty decent. He would make a pretty decent knight, actually, because he meets the requirements, and since the knight only has a prime requisite of strength, we could get that strength up to 16 and get him the 10% bonus. I think that's what we'll do, because first off, as much as I love a good paladin, I love knights. I've read Le Morte d'Arthur 3 times. It's one of the. I'm pretty illiterate. I don't read a whole lot of books, much to my chagrin. But I've read that crazy book 3 times. I read it in high school, and it was just. It was extremely formative for me. Definitely part of my appendix N. So we're going to do that. We're going to make this guy a knight, and we are going to bump that intelligence down to a 9. That's all we need. And that'll put us up to a 16 in our strength. And that's all we need. That's all we need for that guy. Character 10 doesn't have a whole lot going for him. Part of me is just now realizing that we don't have any sort of decent healing, but this guy sure ain't it. I think we're gonna have to settle for a fighter for this guy. Or maybe another thief, you know? We could pop that intelligence score down, bump the dexterity up to 13. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's make him a thief. Intelligence down to 9. Bring that dexterity up to 13. Character 11. I think we're going to have to do kind of like what we did with the druid character. We're going to have to nuke these 2 scores, the strength and intelligence, and bump up that wisdom so that we can get a decent cleric and get some heals in. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's make that a 9. And then that would be a 10. And then that would make our wisdom 13. And that guy will be our cleric. And now this guy. Oh man, I don't even know what to do with you, Character 12. You are just the worst thing to ever grace this planet. 3 strength, 11 intelligence, 7 wisdom, 4 dexterity, 9 constitution, 9 charisma. I mean, with that intelligence, magic user doesn't have any requirements, does it? No requirements. That's what he's gonna have to be. Oh. Whew. He's like endgame Raceland with that 3 strength where he's just been completely withered to a husk. But he doesn't have the intelligence to make up for it, you know? Oh no. I'm just imagining like Mickey Mouse in Fantasia after he's, after he's finished um, making all those broomsticks try to do all of his chores for him, and he ends up flooding the wizard's tower. I, I think that wizard was just like, "Get out of here, dude! you're you're not in the wizard college program anymore. You're it's been revoked." Um, so yeah, so he's off making his own way. Mick Mouse over here. So he's a magic user. And that's it. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'll just transfer all this stuff over into our Old School Essentials Descending Armor Class Coin Encumbrance character record sheet. That's the only way to play. Descending Armor Class is the superior armor class system, and then Coin Encumbrance is the best way to keep track. It's simple, it's easy. There's no fiddling around with everything. It's just can you fit this stuff on your person? So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right. So we've gotten everything all typed up. Now all we need to do is figure out all the stuff that needs to be rolled for. So first up is our alignment. For human classes, I like to roll just a straight D3 along the law, neutrality, chaos lines. That being said, there are a couple of classes that require you to be a certain alignment, such as paladins and druids. And so we've got a druid, so that guy's already neutral, so we won't have to roll for him. But let's go ahead and roll for this guy. Let's see what he's got. He is lawful. He's a lawful thief. And he's going to have D4 hit points. So he's got 3 hit points because he's got a -1 modifier. We are going to be utilizing the quick equipment from Carcass Crawler 2. It has been an absolute game changer as far as getting my dudes up to speed and adventuring as quickly as possible. Before I started using this, the longest part of character creation was purchasing my equipment, because in rules as written from the standard rules is you roll 3d6, you times it by 10, and then you just look over the entire equipment list and you choose what you want out of it. And I'm not a huge fan of that because it's sort of like you're spoiled for choice. You end up with like 60 gold pieces left over after you buy your plate mail. Everyone's got all the best stuff. This way it's randomized. It's not necessarily optimized, and you just roll with what you've got, and it's cool, and it's super fast. So let's go ahead and roll it up. So he already has leather armor. He just comes stock standard with that. Let's go ahead and see how many rations and torches. That's what I just rolled for. Sorry, folks, it's getting late. I'm getting a little sleepy. But let's burn some midnight oil and just push through. Get this video out. I've tried to make this video twice already. Let's just do it. So we've got 1 ration and 5 torches. Now, one thing I do want to mention real quick. A gripe that I have with Old School Essentials is that it doesn't have the coin weight of all of our gear in it. It doesn't have the coin weight for how much a backpack weighs. So I've actually had to cross-reference these items with the Rules Cyclopedia from 1991 Beckme, which is, yeah, it's pretty analogous. It's not quite, because Old School Essentials is a retro clone of BX, which is slightly different than Beckme, which is slightly different than the Rules Cyclopedia, but they're all speaking the same alignment language. So yeah, I had to go into the Rules Cyclopedia to figure out how much everything weighed. And even then, there's some items like the crowbar that aren't listed in the Rules Cyclopedia that you just kind of have to wing. So let's go ahead and keep it rolling. Spend money on that. That is one thing that I also learned in my previous unrecorded solo games, is that you want to buy sacks. Sacks are fantastic. Sacks are fantastic. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and write down large sack, and whatever we roll for our gold, that is, we're just going to subtract 2 from it. So we've got 421 coins of adventuring gear, or grand total with our coins of 427 coins of weight. So that means we have over 400 but less than 600. That means we've got a movement rate base of 90 feet, a counter speed of 30 feet, that's 18 miles per day. Go ahead and save that. I'll think of the names later in between episodes, unless you guys want to start throwing out name suggestions. I'm always here for that. So now for our character 2, fighter. What alignment are you? You are neutral. And you've got a D8 for your hit dice. So you're going to have a grand total of 7 hit points, thanks to that +1. And now for the fun stuff. Armor. Let's get it. Okay, 4. That's going to be a chainmail and a shield. So chainmail gets you AC 5, and then shield gets you AC 4, but we're at a -1, so we're stuck at AC 5. And there it is, 1,034 coin weight. So that means he has an extremely slow speed of 30 feet exploration, 10 feet encounter, and 6 miles per day. You gotta drop some stuff off, buddy. Let someone else carry some torches. Alright, well, that's gonna do it for our fighter. character 2. That being said, you guys probably get the gist of how I make characters. Get the process. I don't think we need to beat a dead horse for 10 more times to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the video here. I think you can see the clock in the corner there. It is 1 a.m. I'm beat. I need to go to bed. But I want to get this video out. It's taken me a couple tries to get this far. I want to get this video out. So I'm going to roll the rest of my character's equipment off screen. I know it's frowned upon, but this is not exactly stimulating content. I know I'd skip this video if I were checking it out, and it went for who knows how long it would take for me to roll up 10 characters worth of equipment. So I'm going to cut it here. I really appreciate you guys for joining me on this character creation episode. And then next time we will be checking out some of these patrons. We got a couple spots on our map that are just ripe for patron play. And I'm excited about that. I hope you are too. Well, I hope to see you at the next one. If you like this content, give me a like, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. Appreciate you.